Welcome home, everyone. Thank you for joining in on this episode of Welcome Home with the Katinas. Welcome Home is a podcast where I, your host Josh, sit down for a conversation with different people who I admire and discuss whatever's on their mind, and especially focus on life at home in times like this. Wherever you are and however you're listening, thank you for your support, and once again, welcome home. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining in on this week's episode of Welcome Home with the Katinas. This will be the last episode of August, which is crazy to think about. We're moving into fall. I hope everyone's enjoying this time of the year. Hopefully it's getting cooler where you are. And I want to start off like I always do and thank the people who support this show and thank those of you who are part of our cousin community. This community that we're building, that we're a part of, it's something that's really special to me. And I really enjoy getting to be a part of a place where I feel at home, where I feel safe, where I feel like there are people around me who really genuinely care about me and who know me and see me. And I hope that if you're listening to this show and that if you're a part of our community, you feel that as well. So if you want to learn more about what the cousin community is and what we do, the best way to do that is to visit thekatinas.com. And you'll see more information there. So there's our little intro, and today I'm joined by two fine-looking young men. One, Tere, you've been on the show before. Welcome back.
Glad to be here.
And glad to have you here, man. And I also, this is the first time in a while, I have a first-time guest on the show. His name is Noah. And I want to give Noah a chance to introduce himself to our listeners. Noah, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, all that stuff. And then if you wouldn't mind just telling us what your connection is with the Katina family.
Sounds good. Thank you, Josh, for the opportunity. So my name is Noah Langa. I'm from Oceanside, California. Born and raised in there. Pretty much have 3 siblings. 4 brothers, or 3 brothers, and 5 boys and 1 mom, and like it's kind of crazy, just being outside of that.
Yeah.
But other than that, I'm very involved within music and stuff like that, and just trying to get different avenues and different ways of looking at stuff, whether that's just through leadership or through music or other avenues in life. My connection to the Katinas, I would say, stems back to when my parent or my mom was a kid. They used to go to the church in Oceanside, and they grew up with my mom and her siblings back then, and pretty much from there they went to Samoa, and then they're even still like. Whenever they come to Oceanside and my parents or my mom comes across them and her siblings come across them, they always say like, "Oh, it's so good to see you," and like they still remember them. So that's a good thing, and that I would say that's my connection, my story, and how I got connected with the Katinas. So,
awesome, bro. Well, I'm really glad you're here. I already learned something new about you. I didn't know you were into music. We'll have to talk about that on the show today. Yeah. But I'll ask you this. So you're from Oceanside, California. Yeah. Why are you here in Franklin?
So, long story short, I ran across Uncle Joe, which your dad at one of the pastor's funeral, Pastor Solomon's funeral, and I just got back from church planting in El Paso, Texas, with our church plant team. And he's been keeping up with he was keeping up at the time with our church plant. And he knew that I was working with their niece, Toliu and Jerry. And from there, we just basically exchanged numbers. And then he was just saying how he wanted me to come out here to Tennessee and so-called just to get involved within the internship, the Love Squared internship. And so from there, just applied and then went through the whole process of interviewing and stuff like that. And, luckily I was able to get accepted and get that call. Like, "Oh, you're coming to Tennessee." So, yeah. So here I am.
Awesome, man. Well, I met you maybe a month ago or so when you first moved here. You are for the people listening or watching. Noah is this year's Love Squared intern. Sometimes we have more than one. Sometimes it's only one, but it's a year-long internship that you're just now starting on. Tede actually is a graduate of the Love Squared internship.
Yeah, about 3 years ago
Was that
now.
2020 or 2021?
21, I graduated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Nice.
and we've had, I believe, every Love Squared intern has been on the show at least once. Because we've had, well, who have all been? Eli's was the first intern, and
it
then we
was
had Dan,
me,
then you.
Basic and Bradley, and then it was Basic and Oni, and now Noah. And
Okay.
Yana was
I
in there
lied.
too.
Oni was never on the show. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, he wasn't.
Yeah, Oni was. Shout out to Oni. He's in Ohio now, I think.
Yeah,
or
and he's
yeah,
married as well.
yeah.
Congrats,
Congratulations, Oni. But okay, all but one. Now Noah has been on the show. All but one of the
Yes,
Love
sir.
Squared interns have been here on the show. And over the years, bro, like I have loved getting to know the Love Squared interns and getting to be around like young men who I know are hungry to learn more about themselves, hungry to learn more about what God has for them in their lives, and who, you know, I really all the interns are unique, obviously, but one thing that I think they all have in common is they all took a huge step to they all moved from their homes to a place like this, Franklin, Tennessee, and stepped out in boldness to listen to what God has for them and really submit to his will for their lives. And so I've really been blessed to be around young men like that, young men like yourself, Noah, and I'm excited for you over this next year. I always see the interns. I always see a level of growth in their lives, and I see new gifts coming out over the year, and it's a long year, but I'm glad that you're here, and I'm excited that I'll be able to see you. I come here most mornings and work here, and I see you, Noah, and Tede as well. But all that to say, welcome to Tennessee, bro. I know you've been here for like a month or so, but it's good to have you here, and I'm glad you're here on the show. I'll go to our other guest, Tede. Last time you were on the show was not that long ago. It was with Dan, right?
Yeah, I think it's maybe 3 weeks.
Okay.
Somewhere around there.
Well, I know it hasn't been long, but I'd love to ask you, like, is there anything new going on in your life, or how has the last month or so been treating you?
Nothing too crazy. Honestly, I don't think anything's really changed. We've just been really busy. We've been on the road a lot. I think we've done like 2 10-day trips in the past couple months, which is like Christmas tour vibes. So just been really busy. A lot of sleep. That's really it.
Let me ask you this, because you do travel with the Katinas full time. It's you and Joey are kind of the crew, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes other people will come out, but you two are like the mainstays on the road. How long have you been doing that now, traveling with them?
It'll be coming. I think it was 3 years in July.
So 3 years. With 3 years on the road now, I would call you a veteran of the road. Do you enjoy being on the road, or when you're out, are you like, man, I can't wait to get home? Or because for me personally, like I used to like thrive being on the road with the Katinas. Maybe because I was younger and I didn't really necessarily have a job.
I could see that.
But now I still enjoy going on the road with them, but it's I'll say I'm very tired when I get home. Like I'm ready to come home
Yeah.
whenever I do. But what's your experience like?
So I definitely think there's like 2 aspects of it. It's like the work time and the rest time. And the first year I think I was like just super drained afterwards. And then I just started picking up little tips here and there. Like whenever we're not like out, if we're at the hotel, we're trying to take a nap. or like even if it's like 2 p.m. and we have like 30 minutes, just take a nap because it'll help in the long run. But I definitely like feel you with like coming back and just being super tired because every single time I come back, I instantly just hit the bed or like put on a movie or something and just do nothing for like a solid like 10 to 12 hours. But I really have fun on the road, but the flights is probably like my least favorite part.
Okay.
Just the travel time when you're sitting on a plane and like if you can sleep, oh, thank God. If you can't sleep, good luck because you're in for a long ride.
Do you have a preferred seat on the plane?
Oh, I love window seats.
Window seats? Okay.
I just, as soon as I get on the plane, I'll throw my hoodie up, lean against the wall, and knock out.
Yeah. So I actually like, I think maybe I'm a little different than you. My favorite part of traveling is being on planes. Like to me, the planes are really relaxing. I think it's that I turn my phone on airplane mode, so my phone's off, and I don't know. It's like one of the only times in my life where I know that I literally have nothing to do other than just sit and be. And so I actually like most plane flights, I just fall asleep on. And like there's something relaxing about being on a plane to me. I know there's a lot of people who don't have that experience, but I enjoy flying.
Yeah, actually, let me restate my statement. I don't think it's the planes that mess with me. I think it's the airport and like getting checked in and being stressed with how many bags we have and then wondering if I'll even make it to the gate in time or if I can get food. I think that stress is just like leads up to the plane ride. Yeah. And then I get on the plane and I was like, dude, what the heck did I just go through?
Right. Yeah, I think traveling with the Katinas is a little different than like your typical airport experience because they travel with obviously their own luggage, but then they also have like huge bins of merch and equipment and stuff like that. So it's a little bit more of an ordeal than most people. And I know that you're generally one of the guys who's responsible for all of that. So
yeah, there's a lot of strategy.
Yeah.
A lot of strategy.
Well, thanks again for being on the show this time, bro. And Noah, I really want to get into, I have to ask you about music because I love music, bro. I produce music myself. I write songs. I'm a songwriter, and I have my own studio at my house. But I want to ask you, like, so you say music is a big part of your life. What do you mean by that?
So yeah, music has been a part of my life ever since I was little. I think for any little kid, you know, they're all like, if you grew up in the church, like you always wanted to like looking at the instruments because it was something you can. That's like the first thing you really see and like, oh damn, that takes the interest. Yeah. And for me, it's a funny story. Like when I was a kid, if I wanted to go and my thing was the drums, I wanted to play the drums really bad, and so I'll gather all the pots and pans, grab 2 water bottles and then pretend like I'm actually playing the drums. Yeah. And then it wasn't until my uncle and aunt, they bought me my first drum set when I was around like 8 or 9. And you know, that's from there. That's when they knew that I was taking it more serious when I got on the real drum set and, you know, started taking it serious. And from there, yeah, just been on the drums and then try to elevate myself to go to try out different instruments as well. So, yeah.
So you're a drummer?
Drummer at heart.
Yeah. No, you're a drummer, bro. Did you like play in the worship band at church or? Okay.
Yeah, I played for our worship team.
Cool. What other instruments have you dabbled in?
So right now, it's the main 2 that I've really been like, that I'm actually good at is the bass and drums.
Okay.
And then like I've been trying to get into the keys and guitar.
Cool.
Like I'm not there yet, but like I'm slowly trying to get there.
So do you have like, that's really cool to me, bro. So do you have like is it like just kind of a hobby for you, or do you have dreams of maybe pursuing it further in your life, or what?
I think it's more of a hobby right now. I think when I was younger, I knew like I wanted to be like on the road and stuff like that. But like now, I was like thinking about it, like it's more of a hobby just to like help out and you know, just get through some times and, you know, just if I wanted to just listen to some music and then just jam out or something like that.
What kind of music do you listen to? Like, who are the artists that you're listening to lately?
Artists that I'm listening to lately. So lately I've been more into like a singing phase.
Okay.
So I have like this little playlist on my phone that like has all like more of like singing based songs. And like one of the big ones right now is Ari Lennox.
Okay.
From,
Yeah.
Dreamville. So that's like one of the big ones that I've been listening to. Other than that, just reggae and stuff like that.
So are you a big Dreamville guy?
I would say so.
Yeah.
I got my Dreamville hoodie, but it's not with me right now.
Okay.
But, you know.
Have you ever seen any of them live or?
No, I've never been to a
Okay.
been to a concert. Yeah.
Well, so we're not that far from Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is where, for those of you who don't know, Dreamville is like I think it's a label or it's like a group of artists from. Most of them are from North Carolina, but they're from all over. But it's led by a guy named J. Cole, who's someone I love. I love his music. But they have a festival every year. I think it's called the Dreamville Dream Fest or something like that. Yeah. It's in Fayetteville, North Carolina, which is maybe I don't know, like 6-7 hour drive from here. My wife actually, so her mom's side of the family is from a town in North Carolina called Whiteville, North Carolina, which we drive out there every Christmas, and we drive through Fayetteville on our way out there. So, but the reason I asked you if you've seen them in concert is because I got to see J. Cole in 2019 or 2018. He was on the KOD tour, nice. And he came to Nashville. One of my friends from college, his name is Spencer. Shout out to Spence. He had 2 tickets to the show, but he didn't have a ride to Nashville, so he was like, "If you drive me, I'll give you my other ticket." And so I got to go see him live here in Nashville. It was an awesome experience.
That's sick. That's sick.
Yeah. I wish I had some friends like that.
No, yeah, it was a fun night. So you've been listening to Ari Lennox. I don't know if you've met my cousin Zion yet. Have you?
I don't think you have.
You'll
meet him at the draft.
Yeah, you'll meet him this weekend. He's coming in town for our fantasy football draft.
Okay.
But so Zion lives down in Kennesaw, Georgia, Atlanta area. But he was the guy who introduced me to Jid, who's another artist, part of Dreamville, and he would love to talk to you about like. He's more of a Dreamville fan than I am, even, so you should chop it up with him about that. Have you ever? Do you have anything like any of your music recorded or out there on Spotify or anything like that? No,
okay. Nothing like that. I'm gonna say no.
Okay, would you say like if you were making music, what genre would the music be?
I think my answer would be more gospel because that's where that's always been the roots is gospel music. But I wouldn't say like music wise like components like writing and like singing and stuff like that. It's more of like a church feel, but probably more lean towards like R&B, like a mixture between R&B and like gospel and like try to mesh within it.
Cool.
That's what I would say.
Like Ari Lennox kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Teddy, you're musical, aren't you?
Like the least amount of effort you could put into being a musician, I'm like right around there.
I feel like most kids who like grew up in the church, their dad or mom was in ministry, like at some point in their childhood, they were put on stage to do some sort of music thing.
Oh, so yeah, I can play the drums pretty decently.
Yeah, okay.
And then I know like one song on both keys and bass. But I think once I hit like the age of playing football, I just dropped all the instruments.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I'm glad you brought up that Zion's coming up this weekend for the draft. You have been at the draft, right?
Yes,
Before.
the past 2 years.
So this will be Noah's first time at our draft. I wish the uncles were here to talk about it, but we have a fantasy football league. It's been talked about on the show before. We're going on our 18th year, I think this year is year 18 for us. I was like, well, if I'm 27, so I was 9 years old when we started. I'm 27 now. But we're having our fantasy football draft on Labor Day this year. And so we do it a little different than, we don't do it online. We do it in person. So we have a big draft board and we have a screen with music and the league's logo and the timer and everything. And shout out to my uncle Xander, who's been on the show before. He's our league commissioner, and he kind of he makes the league run, the draft run. But Noah, you're coming to the draft this weekend, but I know you play fantasy football too, right?
Yeah.
Have you had your draft yet?
No, ours is on Labor Day weekend
okay.
too. So yeah.
Not time. So I know this because we've had conversations before, but you're actually the reigning champ in your league.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what's the dynamics of your league? Like, who's in it? Do you have to pay? Is it for money? What is that all?
So it's a 12-man league, and pretty much it's all of my brothers and cousins and uncles. We all just come together, and usually we pick a place where we want to meet up at. And last year it was at a park, so we were able to have just break bread with one another and just have fun and just draft. And there is a buy-in for our thing. It's a $50 buy-in just to get in.
Okay.
And the winner, so we do 3 places: third, second, and first. Third place you get your money back, which is $50. Second place you get $100, and then the winner gets $450.
Okay.
And so that's how we ran it. We're thinking about raising the stakes up to 100, but I think right now I told him I don't think I can do that right now. So I was like, yeah, as a collective. So we just said we're gonna go back to $50.
Nice.
So yeah.
Who was like your guy on your championship team last year? Who was like the star of your team?
Oh, of course, Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts. Okay.
Yeah. Hurts.
Do you have like a general strategy when it comes to drafting? Like, do you have a plan for your draft this weekend or?
So my philosophy.
Yeah.
Man's turning into Play-Doh talking about fantasy.
Yeah. So I typically like to go for especially within the first 3 rounds, try to go for like high people who I know are going to produce or who have the likelihood of producing. Other than that, fourth and all the way to the end, it's usually just whoever. And typically within those like later rounds, I try to stack up on people because I know it's in a 12-man league, it's harder to get more or to get people you want.
Right.
And I think I always found out like whenever you stack up on people and usually players get hurt and stuff like that, you can use those players that you got and trade it with people within your league. So that's the way, one of the ways.
When you say stack up, what do you mean? Like drafting guys from the same team or?
No, it's more of a position based.
Okay.
So like one of the big needs within fantasy is always a quarterback.
Sure.
If you stack up on like, say 3 quarterbacks and they're like all-star quarterbacks, like you're not going to play all 3, so you're only going to use one. And so like my way is to finesse all of them, have them beg, have them come out and try to beg. So they always try to, my cousins and everyone try to, like I always see their need, like, I saw that your quarterback just went down. I'll send you one of my guys, one of my quarterbacks for like 2 of your guys. And it usually works. It usually doesn't, and then I think the other thing is try to get it in the waivers as well.
Yeah.
So
interesting. So you actually draft like multiple quarterbacks with the intention of trading them away later in the season.
Yep.
Okay, that's unique. I feel like I'm maybe the opposite of you, especially when it comes to quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Like I generally, not always, but I generally kind of pass on quarterback in the draft. Like. I'll wait till later. I'd rather be strong in other positions like running back and receiver, and I'll take a quarterback late and kind of play the waivers throughout the season. Like I usually trust myself to like know that, okay, if this guy that I took late doesn't work out, there's going to be somebody on the waiver wire that I can pick up who's everyone missed in the draft, and he ends up having a good year. But it's interesting that you can kind of go different directions in your strategy. But that's fun, bro. Do you play fantasy today?
Nah, I'm just there for the free food. Yeah.
You've never played?
I guess I was technically on Uncle John's team the year he was in last.
Okay.
But I was really only there for the draft, and then like after that I was gone. Just IR.
Do you let me ask you this. Does your league have a punishment for last place?
We thought of it, but
Yeah.
everyone's so far gone. Like
Yeah, I guess your punishment is you lost $50.
Yeah, you lost your $50. But
So,
we should.
yeah.
That's something to be
So
considered.
it's funny you brought that up today because I think last season was the first time we decided to have a punishment for last place in our league, and Uncle John was last. And so his punishment was that he had to buy us all lunch, and we had like a trophy ceremony after the season was over. So we all got together to present the trophy to my dad, who was the champion, and Uncle John had to provide the food and beverage for that. But I would encourage anyone who's out there who's in a fantasy league, maybe it's a friends and family league, a punishment for last place is a good idea because it's fun because it keeps everybody engaged the whole season, even the teams who are bad. Like I remember, I think it was like Uncle John and Boston were like kind of the bottom feeders of the league last
I remember
year.
they were scraping out there.
And so every week throughout the whole season, they were still trying hard to not be last. And so that was fun. But
I do have a question. Since this league's been going for almost 20 years, was it this like serious and like tense at like drafts when you were younger?
That's a good question. So the first draft, like it's a 12-man league. I'm pretty sure that only one person in the league at that point had ever even played fantasy football before. Oh. And so we all kind of showed up. I don't even really I was so young. I don't know how it happened. I don't even know how I got in the league at that point. Like I think
they just needed a 12th man, and they're like, "Hey, Josh."
Yeah. But so at that draft, literally nobody knew what we were doing. Like it would be funny. I wish we had like a camera on to watch that very first draft because nobody knew what we were doing. We didn't have any strategy. We were all just kind of naming players that we knew and that were still undrafted. But so that's how it started. So it was not intense like that.
That's interesting because like now when we go to a draft, everybody's got a computer. Everybody's got a sheet of paper with like a list of players. Yeah. It's like there's food in the back, but no one's eating because they're all so focused on who's next.
It's funny. So I think what I'm going to do is for those of you listening or watching, and there is a Facebook group called the Katinas and Cousins. I think it's called the Katinas and Cousins on Facebook. And I know a lot of people who listen to this show are already members of that group. If you're not, I'd really encourage you to join it. Maybe this Monday when we're at the draft, I'll go live on that page so people can see what the draft is like. I don't know. I'm going to be focused on my draft, so I don't know if I'm going to have time. But I'll try and share a little bit of how the draft goes because I think people would be interested in seeing the uncles in a different light. They're very focused and intense, and
they don't say a single word.
It's opposite because like it's the opposite of normal because if you're ever in a room with the five uncles, like it's typically very loud and like there's a lot of talking, a lot of laughter. Yep. The draft is not necessarily like that. It's a little more serious. So I think people would get a kick out of seeing the uncles in that kind of mode. Tede, I think last time you were on the show, I brought up that you were in a season where you're considering kind of a shift in your life.
Yes.
Has there been any more development on that?
So as of now, the plan for me at least, I still need to like kind of work it out and confirm it with the uncles. Hopefully, I'm definitely going to be going back in like the end of December, early January. The hope
Going back.
to American Samoa.
Yep.
Sorry.
No, you're good.
And so the hope is that I'll be able to go for 3 months and then come back up, and those 3 months will be able to determine like, all right, is this the time that God's calling me down here, or maybe it's not the time yet. And if it is the time, then hopefully I'll be able to come back up, work another 3-4 months, and then go move back for good. And then if it's not the time, then come back up and just keep working indefinitely until I feel the spirit.
So let me ask you, so your family's in American Samoa. I know that. What besides your family, what else is out there that you feel like is calling you?
Honestly, the next generation. There's just a lot of, just like anywhere else, there's just a lot of stuff going on in American Samoa. And I definitely feel like the next generation just needs something consistent and something that loves them. And it's kind of weird to say because like as Samoans, religion's just always like mixed into our culture.
Sure.
And everybody down there is like Christians, but everybody's sad. Everybody feels alone.
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know if I'll be able to provide something that can help them with that, but I want to try at least.
Yeah.
And just help out the next generation. That's, yeah.
I think, so I know what you mean when you say religion is like a huge part of Samoan culture. And anytime I've been to Samoa, which has been a handful of times now, like, it's very apparent to me, like, the importance of faith and religion in every aspect of just life down there.
Yeah.
But I totally agree with you that it's never been more apparent to me in my life than the times when I'm in Samoa that religion is not the answer for fulfillment. It's Christ. That's what where our fulfillment comes from, where our purpose comes from. And religion in itself, I think there's great things about it, but I also think there's some unhealthy things. It can become unhealthy.
Yeah.
And it can leave I'm even uncomfortable saying that out loud because I grew up in Samoan culture, so I know what that means. But there is an element of religion that like forgets Christ, which I think is a very dangerous place to be. And I can totally see how that can be rampant in a place like Samoa, where you grow up and religion is like water to the fish. Like you don't even realize it's everywhere. It's seeped into the fabric of society and culture down there. And so I think whether or not you go back to Samoa and you stay or not, I do think you're hearing truth in the fact that there is a need down there for something more than religion.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Do you when you go back, do you think you'd live with your parents, or this is one thing I'm curious about, like for people in Samoa, if you want to get your own place, what do you do? Because I feel like there's not a lot of space down there, and like everyone just kind of lives with their families. Is that just kind of what the plan is for you?
So, for me at least, for the 3 months, I'll probably stay with my parents. But if I end up moving down there long term, I'm definitely gonna get my own place.
Okay.
And as far as like getting your own place down there, it's usually renting.
Okay.
Because nobody wants to sell their land.
Sure.
And it's usually like, oh, this is their family's main house, and they built a second house here. Oh, they don't use it, rent it out to somebody.
Okay.
And then there's also some like government buildings called 1602s. It's like low income housing and stuff. So like housing is available, but land's not available.
Right.
So you're not going to be able to like go and build your own house.
Okay.
Unless your family already owns land.
Right.
But there's always like places you can rent.
Yeah. I guess on an island as small as Samoa, people are greedy for land.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot to
It's
go.
crazy.
Not a lot to go around.
I mean, so you've been down there pretty recently, and did you notice how skinny the roads are?
Oh yeah.
It's because people don't want to give up that like little land
Yeah.
to widen the roads or put sidewalks. Yeah, it's crazy.
It's funny. So where my grandpa's house is, I'm pretty sure this could be false, but my dad and his uncles always told me they literally built that road into like off of the main road into their village.
The turn.
Yeah, into their house, and it's not a good road, bro. It's about as wide as this table, and just
rocks.
I'll say this: so the suspension on all of my grandpa's cars is just shot.
Oh yeah,
and I think it's from that road, like just bouncing up and down
from all the roads.
Yeah. Noah, do you have family in Samoa?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Have you been out there before?
I went out in 2010, 2011.
Okay.
So when they were still in the recovery phase of the tsunami. So
Okay.
that's when I was
Where's your family at?
so my dad's family's from Fankongo,
Okay.
and my mom's family's from Auntie.
Okay. Cool.
So yeah.
Do you have any desire to go back out there?
There is. Our family's actually planning to go out there in the summer.
Okay.
Because one of our my cousins is graduating from high school, and they're the family's just thinking like it'll be a good time to for like a little family reunion with everyone, because we haven't seen anyone in like so long.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's all over the place, so I think that's what we're trying to shoot for in the summer. Trying to go out there and have a family trip.
Do you speak Samoan?
No, no way.
No. Tere does.
And I say this as soon as I say I can speak Samoan. I speak Samoan like how Samoans speak English.
Okay. I'm curious, over the last 3 years, you haven't been speaking it very much. Do you think you've lost some of it?
Oh, I was talking to my dad the other day, I was just talking to my parents in general, and like they started saying just like regular Samoan phrases that I used to be able to understand, and I'd be like, "Huh?"
Oh wow.
I'd have to like hear it again and then like translate it in my head and then like remember what they said.
Okay.
And like it's rough.
Yeah, I'm sure you pick it up quick when you move back out there.
I hope
pick
so.
it back up. Yeah.
I hope so badly.
I've and Noah, maybe you can relate to this. Like, I've grown up with somewhat of a. It's not been bad, but I do have a bit of a shame that I don't speak the language, especially when I go back to Samoa or when I'm with like my dad's side of the family. And I had an experience in in Hawaii one time where I had an auntie who came up to me and she started speaking Samoan to me, and I had to say, "Oh, auntie, I don't understand." Oh, you don't? And then I could tell she was like shaming me for not speaking the language, and I was just like, it's really not my fault though. I just my dad never taught it to me, so I didn't learn it. That's how it went. But do you guys ever feel that at all?
Oh,
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when I moved down there, it was really rough. Just because everybody looks at me and assumes I can speak it.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But it's funny that you mentioned that your dad never taught you, because my dad never taught me when I lived in Maryland. And we always asked him, we're like, hey, can you teach us Samoan? Can you teach us Samoan? And he was always like, yeah. And then he'd teach us like 2 words and then nothing else.
Yeah.
And then I moved to Samoa and I just picked it up from like living. And now that I'm out here and like there's people I could speak Samoan to, I just don't speak it ever.
Right.
And like I don't know why.
Noah, do you relate to that though? Like, or are you like, I don't care that I don't speak Samoan?
I think there is parts of me, that like I wish like my parents actually took that time to speak Samoan.
Because your parents speak it, right? Yeah.
My parents do speak it. So, but I think right now, like I'm in a phase where like even though I don't understand, like at least I'm trying to make an effort to learn it, and like I do that whether that's just reading. I even got this little workbook, or not a workbook, like one of the books that you can read and like try to follow along and and just try to learn Samoan my own way instead of like even though my dad, like, I'm away from my pops, like,
Uh-huh.
like he's the always one that speaks like good because he's from there. But like, I think just that effort, I think that can go like farther than like at least you're trying to put that effort. Saying, "Oh, I don't know how to speak someone."
I'll have to. You'll have to show me that book because I might. I would. I still have a desire to learn it. I'm 27, and I'll probably never actually really in my daily life need to use it. But for the few instances in my life where it could be useful, I would love to one day just feel confident because I grew up listening to my dad and my uncles speak it to each other, and you know they taught me like short phrases and words, probably the same kind of stuff you guys know, but I'm not a speaker by any means. But there are some times where I'm able to understand very like the gist of things that are being said. And I always wish I could be a part of this conversation. But it's funny. So the story that was told to me was that because my dad and his brothers they were born here in the States. And they moved to Samoa when they were younger. So Samoan was a second language for them. But the story that I've been told was that when they were at home as kids, their parents didn't let them speak Samoan. They made them speak English because they didn't want them to lose their English and lose their good English accent, American accent. And so I sometimes wonder if like subconsciously that stuck in my dad's head when we were growing up. Like, I guess he didn't really have anyone to speak Samoan to, but I wonder if there was a part of him that's like, my parents wanted me to be good and a good English speaker, so I want my kids I don't want to pollute their vocabulary with Samoan and just let them be English speakers. But that's interesting, bro. Maybe one day we'll have a podcast in Samoan. I wonder if there's any podcasts out there that are strictly in Samoan. Do you know?
I don't think there are, but we were talking about a podcast there's these two Samoan, I think they're Samoan girls. They just started a podcast. I'm trying to remember the name. But we were talking about it over the weekend, and I guess the uncles gave it a listen or something. So I need to check that out still. I don't know too much about it, but
have you guys ever seen? I don't know the guy's name, but he's half black, half Samoan. He's on like TikTok and Instagram. Do you know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't know his name, but I've seen his stuff on like.
And
Instagram.
He teaches people how to speak Samoan.
Yes.
And I think he actually has a class. I wish I knew his name so I could plug him on the show, but he has like a course that starts maybe twice a year where he teaches Samoan online. I've thought about joining that class. That would be fun. Yeah. Maybe we can do it together, Noah.
One day we're all just sitting here and you two just pop out speaking Samoan fluently.
Yeah, that would be. I would love to surprise my dad one day, because my dad and his brother still speak Samoan to each other, not all the time, but on occasion, and they'll have conversations in Samoan, and I would love one day to just butt in with my own. Just one clear sentence would be awesome.
I've been waiting for this moment.
I'm just gonna shed a tear.
Yeah. Well, guys, thank you for joining me on the show. Noah, thank you for being here, bro. I guess over this next year, I'm sure you'll probably be on the show again, and I've enjoyed getting to know you so far, and I'm looking forward to just seeing how this next year impacts your life. And I know there's going to be a lot of growth, and I know Ted can speak to that through his experience in the internship and just being here in this house for 3 years now. And but I want to welcome you and let you know that you're family, bro, and we're glad to have you here. So
thank you. Appreciate it.
Welcome to the family.
Yes.
I love
it. We'll finish there. So those of you listening, thank you for tuning in. We'll be back with more episodes soon. Have a great day. Bye.